right, looks like the meeting is officially on.
You hear us, Nate? Up?
Yes, I can.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, well, we will call this meeting to order. Alex, do we have any public comment?
Great question.
Oh, well, we will introduce Nino Lotson as the new District 4 representative. So, you know, I saw you. I should have known. You're on the agenda, man. Do you want to, I don't know, introduce yourself to the commission? I know we've got a few folks that are absent, but anything you want to say to any?
No, name's Neil Lawson. Happy to be a part of this board. Look forward to giving back to the community. Lived here for about 6 years. We're taking a brief detour to Denver, but now that I'm back, I want to get involved and look forward to giving back to the community any way I can.
Thank you. All right. Has everybody had the chance to read the last meeting's minutes? Can I get a motion? Second?
Second.
Conversations? All right. All those in favor of approving the August minutes? Vote aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign? Okay. We've got, we're gonna, Jerry Ford to speak on, mascot, a couple of items actually.
You ready?
Yeah.
Good afternoon. I'm Jerry Ford, the state administrator for the city of Wichita. This item before you today is something that we started in the fourth quarter of 2022. There is a land swap with Evergy, proposed land swap with Evergy at Evergreen Park. For those of you that are not familiar with Evergy, Evergreen, it is a 26-acre park located in North Wichita at North Arkansas and West 25th Street. Evergy's mascot substation is just under an acre. It's a 33,611 square foot carve out in the park's north end. So that is property owned by Evergy. The existing substation is mostly centered on their site. It has a chain link fence, and the fenced-in area really only matters to be about 80 by 142 feet. Evergy is proposing to make some improvements to their mascot substation, and they require an expansion to the west of their fenced-in area. And to accommodate that expansion, Evergy requires the acquisition of a 29-foot swath of land for a total area of 4,394 square feet along the west side of the fenced area. I'm going to have a picture of that for you here in just a moment. In exchange of the park board's conveyance of an area measuring 4,394 square feet, Evergy will convey a portion of their site back to the park board. The net area, or the area to be conveyed, is a 12-foot swath of land along the east side of their property line and 11 feet along the south property line. So that area measures a little over under 4,400 square feet. So the park gains a net gain of 3 square feet. So this drawing is a little bit kind of complicated to see, but the black hatched area is the existing site as it sits today. There's the blue, which is what Evergy is proposing to convey to the park board. The red area will facilitate Evergy's expansion, and all that red stuff you see in the middle are those improvements that they're making to their substation itself. As part of the substation expansion, an additional upgrade will be the mascot substation, will be the installation of a masonry wall. This here is an example of a recent improvement that Evergy made out west near Central County Park at 13th and Ridge Road. This is an example of the type of fencing that they will put around their facility. Evergreen Park is encumbered by land and water conservation funds. This is why it has taken 2.5 years to get to this point. The Kansas Department of Wildlife and Park oversee the LWCF grants on behalf of the U.S. Department of the Interior's National Park Service. And the proposed trade has been described, or as described, was approved by the feds and the state. So the recommendation before you today is to approve the trade with Evergy and authorize the necessary signatures. You have any questions about this site? Yes, sir.
So have you talked to the council member from this district, Maggie Ballard?
No recent conversations with Councilmember Ballard about this.
I emailed it to her, the draft, and I didn't hear back from her. It seems immaterial to me, the amount of land. I mean, gaining 3 square feet is not a big deal. The way I looked at it, I thought we were going to lose point something or whatever. But my concern, and I represent that district, and I use that park. I use that both the Evergreen Library and the community center there. You're going to tear down the old substation? Is that what the plan is? Because there's gravel inside that fence and there's grass on the outside of the fence.
That is correct. They will make improvements to the existing facility itself, and those improvements are going to build on top of essentially what is already there. So they're adding on to what they have. That fenced-in area is inside the site that is owned by Evergy, and so what is going to be conveyed to the city is already on the exterior of that fence. So they don't have the fence on their property line. They only have that substation fenced in a little bit and then some excess land around it.
Excess land around that, and it's already grass area.
That is correct.
There's a ball field right there and stadiums and chop down trees, whatever. There's only one tree that looks like it'll be affected by that, which is pretty scraggly tree.
Another area that's looking at being conveyed to go over to our Evergy is actually to the east where the entryway is there.
Yeah.
So it's a space that's not currently programmable space. Everything that's programmable is to the east of it. So where the ball field is there. So we're basically just extending their portion out to the west a little further and doing the same for us on the east side.
So the fence is the gray striped area, not the blue striped.
The fence, the existing fence is around this portion now.
That
So
portion.
this is all grass area.
Okay.
And then the city will receive this portion of the grassy area. So a grass area will still remain at the buffers.
Okay.
But they're gonna put, and it's not easy to see on here, but that masonry wall, there's a thin red line, so they'll put that around the perimeter of the property. So there will still be a grass area between the wall and the city's property.
Right. Okay. I was just concerned that if we get something back that's grass, not gravel.
Yes, we're getting turf.
Okay.
Question on the wall itself. If something happens to that wall, Evergy is responsible for.
That is correct. The way they have the wall designed per that plan sheet, there is actually about a 5-foot gap. So their wall is not on the property line. They'll have room then to work on their side of the wall.
There is a football field there, and I assume soccer. So if a stray ball gets over that fence, I don't know how often that would
It
happen.
belongs to Evergy.
That's the thing they figured.
Kids go home.
We won't be able to retrieve it until somebody throws it back over.
It looks like that area that you guys will be receiving has an easement that runs through it. So have you guys confirmed you guys are able to build fencing and the masonry wall over that easement? I'm looking, there's about a 20-foot easement on the exhibit that you sent.
There's power line.
Oh, so it's overhead lines, nothing
Overhead.
underground. Okay.
Yeah. And it's Evergy's easement.
Okay.
And once we initiated this process in 2022, the council member was aware that in this direction, had to get approval from the land swap from the Fred and state before we could work.
Questions?
Look at the history. How come Evergy has a spot in Evergreen Park, or which was first?
I think the Mascot substation was first, if I recall correctly.
Because of that other thing.
That substation's been there for a long time, and and our park is surrounding it, so I think it was there prior to our development of a park.
Well,
Um, Any other questions? Otherwise, I'd move that we approve this swap.
Make a second. All those in favor or other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed, same sign?
Yeah, it's fitting, so there you go.
The second item before you today is a grant of access to the Redwood Path at Rock Road. The Redwood Bike Path is a railroad right-of-way connecting downtown Wichita to Andover. The corridor is mostly 20 foot in width. That portion of the path between Woodlawn and K96 is currently gravel. The city has a project proposed which will pave the path between Woodlawn and K96, plus the installation of a pedestrian bridge over Rock Road. The city's improvement project will be constructed in 2 phases. Phase 1 is for the paving of the path between Woodlawn and K96, except for that part within a quarter mile of each side on Rock Road. Construction for Phase 1 is expected to commence within the next 3 to 4 months. We just completed all the acquisitions for that project, and the city's moving forward with the letting of that project. Phase 2 will facilitate the construction of the pedestrian bridge, and construction of Phase 2 is planned to commence in late 2026. The improvements to the path and corridor include the installation of a 13-foot wide path. 10 foot of the path will be paved, the other 3 feet will be gravel. The signalized pedestrian crossing at Woodlawn will be improved, and the installation of new pedestrian crossings will occur at Webb Road and at Greenwich Road. Drainage structures will be improved throughout the corridor, and pause points will be added. The new pedestrian bridge at Rock Road causes Evergy to modify the transmission line for clearance. There are a lot of lines in this picture, but you'll see as that line that made the large transmission line that crosses Rock Road, this is looking south, is the line that needs to be relocated. Evergy requires access to the corridor for potholing, environmental studies, and soil borings, mostly within this area identified in pink here. There is no compensation to the city for the use of the right of entry agreement. Evergy will be asked to share their environmental reports with the city, and the right of entry agreement is temporary. It would expire at the latest December 31st, 2026. The recommendation before you today is to approve Evergy's temporary use and access to the corridor and approve the necessary signatures. And I stand for questions.
Questions?
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward.
Well, I think that's my district, so I would make a motion to approve the access and all necessary signatures.
Very good. Thank you.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Thank you.
Well, thank you. That's all I have for you today.
Well, thank you so much. Tim? Sorry.
Go to her. You can sign it and give it to me and I'll give it to her.
Here to provide a CIP update. This is usually on the city's website. I haven't had a chance to update that just yet. So we're kind of doing it. You see basically what's in front of you on the screen instead of online. But just to give you all where it is located and where it will be updated. If you go to the departments and go to Park and Recreation, and over in the About Us, and you go down to the Capital Improvement Program, and that will get you to this page where it has same information listed as a funnel map too, in these 5 different categories. But for today's presentation, just be going off of the PDF that I provided you all. So we had, it's like this. Actually, that cut off, so I apologize. We have quite a bit of projects that are being proposed and that are in this identified category. I'll go back and just go off of the proposed budget, or the proposed CIP. And again, this is all publicly available for anyone that wants to look at it. I encourage you all to pick through the CIP. It's a wealth of information and provides a lot of good direction on kind of where we're going. Sorry. All right, there we go. So I'm only mostly just be focused on the 2026 for now. You'll see that highlighted over in the PDF that you have in front of you. So we have the aquatics bath house improvements. As continue to make improvements to the bathhouses. One of the biggest things is trying to update for ADA compliance, update for usability. We did a lot of money into making the pool and splash pads look as great as they are now. And so these funds are to help with the bathhouse improvements. It's good that we're seeing that through future years. Another one of our annual CIP projects is athletic field renovation, athletic courts. Athletic fields, those are more baseball, football, things along those lines, softball, athletic courts, tennis, pickleball, basketball. We've been focusing on getting rid of our asphalt courts. They just don't hold up over time. They have cracks. We're just not seeing the good lifespan on them, and a lot of them it's just time for them to move on and go in with concrete. The recent ones that we did with athletic courts were replacing basketball courts for over at Cessna Park, Kiwanis, and Murdoch. So if you want to see some of the new courts, those are over there and open to the public. The athletic field renovation, we're still discussing internally, figure out exactly what priorities stick out for athletic field, but I imagine that for athletic courts, we'll probably continue to tackle those asphalt courts. Golf course and facility improvements and golf irrigation. Jesse has a much better idea on exactly what he plans to use for those. But I know that the big thing, this big $2 million, is going for irrigation improvements at the golf courses. So water is one of the water costs quite a bit of money, and making sure that we're using it effectively and efficiently is important. So that's helping do that. So I imagine they'll probably do some cost saving measures and also improve the quality of courses through these improvements here. No More Stage and Art. This one is a new one. It's one of the only kind of single items that we have in 2026. Again, this is over at No More doing a stage out there. What we've done in the past is use a temporary stage for events. A permanent stage here does a number of things, includes a lot more flexibility for the user groups there. But it also helps free up park maintenance staff because they're not having to deploy a portable stage as much. So an investment to help free up staff time, but also increase usability for the community. Park facility enhancements and park facility maintenance. This is again one of those annual items that we have. Park facility enhancements. It jumps up here in the later years. We had to divert some of the money to go towards some of the golf improvements, but we were lucky enough to be able to spread out some of it. This is probably one of our most important projects that we have, and one of the one that is the most diverse for us, in part because all the other ones kind of have their own bucket, their own item that they're geared towards. Park facility enhancement leaves a little bit more open for us to hit those kind oddball projects that don't exactly fit in. They're not an athletic court, they're not a field, they're not a playground. They're an amenity to our park system, and they also need to be improved or enhanced. One recent one was a few years ago, we converted part of NASCAR that was living grass to artificial turf, and I think that's been a huge investment and been really good for the community. You can just see how much use it's actually getting, and we don't have to go out there and mow. And it was dying anyways, so it was a good idea to try it out. But again, that's kind of the oddball things that park facility enhancements is good for us to do to help again enhance existing amenities or make modifications. Park facility maintenance, that's more of a this was kind of renamed a few years ago, but it was mostly rec center shelter maintenance. So the big thing that we've been doing with these park facility maintenance, and you'll see here in the PDF that I'll talk about here in a moment, is replacing the roof on a number of rec centers. The roofs are not cheap, and so we've had to pull together a number of years together to make it happen. But we are replacing the roof on a number of rec centers, and it was okay when we were in a drought and we weren't getting rain all the time, but it's really apparent now on some of the rec centers when it does rain. So luckily we've been able to make some of those improvements. Park signage, you'll start to see those go up later this little preview, but you'll start to see park signs go up later this month and early into October. We're really targeting the some of the rec centers that haven't had signage and some of the heavily used parks we'll be focusing on in 26, looking forward towards signing the pools and splash pads and other things like that, where people need a little bit more direction. It's not, most people can use Google to find the park, but sometimes you need a little bit of help to figure out exactly where in the park the pool is and all those sorts of things. Plainview, this is art for Plainview Community Center, which the consultant is often running with design. Well, we have a kickoff meeting, but they've been approved through city council. Their contract has been accepted. So that is moving forward. This is the art to help supplement that community center.
Is that the mural?
I don't think this has been identified for exactly what that is yet.
Okay.
And I believe there should be an art consultant as part of this project that will help manage that and figure out exactly where that is.
And they were just talking about a mural, that's why.
Playground rehab and splash pad maintenance, those are some more annuals, or splash pad more of a biannual one. But playground, this one is earmarked to go to Central Riverside. We actually have the RFP out for that, and a progressive design build in Central Riverside with extensive community engagement to figure out what the community wants at that playground. But part of the funds for this will be going towards that. So we'll eventually need to get this initiated, but for something that's playground certificate at Central Riverside, we need to pair years together to make that project move forward. And then kind of structure these a little weird, but we do have trails, path, and sidewalk repairs and walking path funds. So these are great to see. Those paths and trails are one of our most used amenities in the parks, and so you need to use quite a bit of money to go towards those. As
Tim, I saw you skipped over the trail.
yeah, sorry, I was focusing more on what we have for this year, but we do have in the future years. Chisholm Creek Park pathway park and improvements. This is one that we've been putting in for a couple of years now, and eventually we're finally coming up on it. So this one will be a huge one. If you haven't been out there recently, a lot of the asphalt trails I kind of mentioned, they don't really hold up. They just don't have the longevity.
Boardwalks are falling apart.
And the boardwalks are falling apart, yeah. So we'll be using all these funds to do that. I imagine that we'll probably target those boardwalks first with this first chunk of money, help make sure that those, given the fact that they are a structure, so I think those probably take higher priority than the asphalt trails, but that will be a huge project for us in the coming years.
That's fine. So that's in 27.
Yeah.
There's other trails that are like.
Yep. So this other trails and walking paths, trails is great because it kind of encompasses quite a bit of things. We kind of view the trails as being different than your standard walking path around a park. Trails being more like Pawnee Prairie Park. We're using 2025 money to address some trails at Pawnee Prairie Park. There's also we're looking into using some of the 2025 money or 2026 to help along the river. We had a project that went above our engineer's estimate, so we had to reject that project. That was over by the Keeper parking lot. There's a lot of erosion by the landscape over there. And I think Katie, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but that was the most used site. From out of town folks, when they come in, they come to the Keeper. They come look at the Keeper. If we don't have landscape that actually works there and it's being eroded onto the sidewalk, doesn't really present Wichita that well. And it's also a safety issue if we're getting erosion onto the sidewalk and, bicycles driving on or riding on top of sand isn't really the best thing, the safest thing for the trails. So we are looking at that. I think overall we'll plan to use and try to find different spots throughout the city that do need the repairs. Maybe we're not able to go and do a whole giant section, but if there's sections where we know this is really, really bad, we would go in there and be able to fix those spots. But the walking paths, having these separated is nice because the walking paths allows us to repair kind of just a simple flat work that's all busted up, and some of the parts that aren't the heavy commuter trails, they're not the K96 trail, they're not Redbud Trail, they're not those sorts of things. Well, that answers your question a little bit on both of those. So all of that one got cut off there, but for things that are in the ongoing section or the initiate section, as I mentioned, these are ones that we already initiated, but they weren't started in-house or by a consultant. As I mentioned, the trail and path and sidewalks over at Pawnee Prairie Park. Wanting to go through and repair some of those gravel trails. There's some issues with the gravel that is there now. The size is not great and is a bit of a hazard for bicyclists. It just wasn't the right material for the project, and with erosion, it's just kind of all the fines that made it look really nice when it was there originally have been washed away. So we're wanting to go back and basically take that rock and use it elsewhere within the park to come back with a nice newer material that is better suited for those trails. Playground rehab at Central Riverside, as I mentioned, we'll be pairing that with 2026 money. This is out for an RFP right now. I've had a few people reach out that are interested in the project, so looking forward to see those submittals when they come in. But again, we'll have to do a pair of 2 years for this one. And then the pony stable over at O.J. Watson Park, hoping to go through and help improve the living conditions for the ponies out there at O.J. Watson. And we also have some money left over for A. Price Woodard Park. And that is where we sold some land over there. This is a little bit outside of the CIP, but this is one that we wanted to track and make you aware of about doing some improvements to A. Price Woodard Park. The first one, the councilman would like to have a bus for Mr. Woodard. So that's out on the streets right now for doing a bus to help educate the community on Mr. Woodard and probably a bit of an improvement to the park. We'll go on to the next slide here. This will be scheduled athletic field renovation. That's bleachers. So we're focusing on bleachers. Biggest thing is to make sure that they are compliant with current standards. One of the issues we've seen in the past is that bleachers you can climb on. They have rails that just provide climbing, and as a kid, climbing on bleachers is a lot of fun, but making sure that's done and it's safe, that they can't climb up really high and fall and get hurt. And that's kind of the biggest thing is making sure that they're not something that that people can climb on and then get hurt on. The Sycamore Park, that's another one that's out to bid right now. We did that one in-house, and I'll be part of those walking paths. When we we tore out the tennis courts at Sycamore Park because they were bad, and they had giant cracks in them. We put out a survey to the community, and they wanted a walking path as part of that. So we weren't just removing an asset. We were coming back with something new, and through the survey, this has been a few years ago, we found out the walking path again is one of the most used and most desired assets to the community. It hits a lot of targets, and it provides use to a wide demographic. So that one's out to bid right now. We're hoping for good bids. I believe that comes in on Friday. So we'll have an answer on that project on Friday. We also have the O.J. Watson concession building landscape addressing some issues with erosion out there around the concessions building, and that one's also out to bid. A few other ones here that I'll highlight. Crystal Prairie Lake Park, that one's still ongoing. This one got moved over, or I think I changed some of the timing, some of the info within the description here. The ones that are in bold and underlined are ones that have been modified since I last spoke to you in June. That East River Bank, as I mentioned, that one's kind of on hold till we have a little bit more funding available to do that one. Retaining walls and an Old Town Plaza, we're hanging on to those for a while until some more funding presents itself. In progress, these are some of the fun ones. As I mentioned, Evergreen Rec Center, replacing the roof there. Playground rehab in development. We used some of the money to kind of, Jerry mentioned earlier, for one of the grants, the Land Water Conservation Fund grant. We really need CIP money to supplement that grant over at Fox Wetlands. So for those that are out west, you'll start to see some trucks and some work going on at Fox Wetlands. So that's what that's for.
Fence up.
Do what?
You got a fence up.
Yeah, they did. Did they? Okay, good. I thought they said that they were going to start either yesterday or today or tomorrow. So that's good. Pawnee Prairie Park. Again, that was one that we actually looked at today, and it was in progress. So this one can probably be, there's some few minor items, so we might leave it here in progress. But we had a lot of issues with the existing facility that was out there with vandalism, fires, all sorts of things. Staff was pretty much out there on a weekly basis to board up the old facility out there, and that has been demolished, and it looks great. The shelter is still out there, so it's still usable to the public, but there's no indoor space out there. So that one's exciting because that helps relieve a little bit of staff time and them just dealing with break-ins and things like that. And it was also something that we explored to program, but didn't find anything really usable to program to go in there, and the cost to renovate it was going to be astronomical. So that's a good one there. I think I'll just touch on a couple other ones here. McAdams facility improvements, that one is for the Brewer Community Center or community facility. That one is continuing to move forward and make progress. Looking forward to see that one open. I've heard a little bit about some of the artwork that's going on that project, and it's really exciting out there for that community. And I think I will mention one other one for Chisholm Creek Park North. That work is ongoing. Some of the recent rains have delayed us a bit. It's just getting kind of hard, a little muddy out there. But a lot of the path is done. You kind of forget how big 10 feet wide really is until you're walking on the path. And I think that was a good width that we chose for that, because you're not closed in together so closely, especially with people with strollers, dogs, bikes, etc. So I think everyone will be super excited about that one. It was a hidden gem, and I think that it'll get a little bit more use now if there's a paved path out there. And then completed, I won't touch on the ones that we've already completed, but some of the recent ones that we've gotten done. Splash pad renewal, that one was 2020. That one, we kind of been saving a little bit of money on that one just to kind of stretch our dollar to make that. to make improvements, and we did some resurfacing at two of the splash pads, Osage and Fairmount. The paint was starting to fade and trying to make sure that it still looked fresh. So that was completed. Proc Wetlands, if you haven't been out there, I highly suggest you go out there. It looks great with the recent rain, and it rained just in time for construction because it couldn't have been better timing. It stayed mostly dry for them while they were out there. Fairmount, again, that we used some of 2025 money to supplement the 2022 for the splash pad resurfacing. And then Evergreen got a new, the playground got a new safety servicing. The PIP out there on that playground is brand new. So again, trying to combine or be creative about how we use our funds to continue to make improvements throughout. And there's quite a long list down through here, so happy to answer any questions if anyone has them on existing projects or current projects or any of the old ones.
Questions? I know with the rains and we had some challenges at Clap Park. How's it holding up?
So we're actually, one of the things that the park itself, or the playground is doing well. We had some damage with the weather for the dog park.
Yeah.
And we started on the construction for that, and we're almost completed with that. Gary is saying absolutely.
All the repairs are complete. Now we're just waiting to open it after we get it maintained and trimmed to get the grass down to a usable level. But it's almost turned the key and open.
That's great.
And that was one of the things, I don't know if I mentioned it last month, that Clap is just as busy as Central Riverside now with the usage that's there, and that's before the actual dog park reopens. So we anticipate it's going to be even more traffic there.
That's awesome.
It was busy on Saturday between disc golfers and the WSU run stuff. Yeah, there was probably a few other problems.
That's awesome. Thanks, Bill.
Yep, thank you.
Appreciate it. All right. Looks like we don't have any continuation of prior business. Sure. Sorry. Monday.
All right. So this is going to be the financial update for all through August. Revenue is looking good. As you can see, we're at about 72%. Again, right now, if like every month was equal, we'd probably be sitting at about 66%. We do have most of our business does happen in the spring and in the summer, so this is about on par for what we should be expecting. And then we still have some classes and things coming in the fall. One of the things that this does not capture is the new football revenue. That we should be seeing, and this should be hitting in about September. With all of those, we encumbered all of the revenue, and it doesn't actually hit the accounting system until the first games start, and so those happened last week. So we should see a good jump in the revenue next month. And then also we have a few things in aquatics. We have a few scholarships and things to move over, so you can probably see those numbers also continue to increase. Expenditures look good. That is golf. Okay, expenditures look good. Again, running below that 66%. Recreation is a little bit higher on that, but again, that's mostly pools, and so we're done with lifeguards and things like that. So spending, especially people's spending, should be slowing down. Cost recoveries look strong and meeting our targets. Again, athletics is looking at about this 97%. I do think that will go up whenever we factor in football. Summer camps at 87%. That should probably jump up a little bit because we will be getting some funding through the CDBG, CSBG programs.
What's going on at the tennis center?
So we transitioned away last year. That our pickleball instructor that we had on site that was there is no longer there. So we're still trying to find someone that come in and take in those revenues. So it factors in both the tennis and pickleball. Tennis is probably doing well, but we are seeing a dip in the pickleball side because there hasn't been an instructor there.
And we just got somebody, we're getting somebody hired on, not to jump in on that. I just found out today, we found somebody, we interviewed them, and they're gonna look to start in a couple of weeks.
Thank you.
And then with golf, they're looking really strong. Revenues are coming in, and again, they're making up for that slow start in January and February. Also, if you guys remember that we had the city had the cyber attacks last year, and so we weren't able to collect. We used credit cards for like a good, like the month of May, and that really hit golf hard. And so through our loss prevention group and through our insurance, we were actually awarded about $93,000 for golf, and so that's just extra revenue this year. So they're getting another bump of $93,000. Their expenditures look really good, and then ending in August, we had the unencumbered cash of about 1.7 million. Again, we like to see at the end of the year, we're going to have that $1 million. And so anything that's left or anything that's over that $1 million gets swapped over into their project fund so that we can use it for improvements of the clubhouses and improvements for the courses. And their cost recovery is looking really strong. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it. Katie.
All right, we've got a social media update for you here. This chart shows an updated list of our followers on each of these pages. Again, they're just going up a little bit each month. So the top post on the Wichita Park and Recreation Facebook page was a reel from the USD 59 clapback event held in early August, and our staff showed up to that to support USD 259, especially given our ongoing collaboration with them for football and swim facilities. But that post reached 9,300 people and had 15 shares. And for OJ Watson Park, the top post last month was just regarding the hours changing. We see a lot of engagement when we talk about when the park is open, when the rides will be held. Just so we see the public looking out for each other about those hour changes. So we switched to our early fall times. And that post reached 24,000 people. And the link in it that links you back to the Watson Park page with info on rides and tickets, that was actually clicked through 134 times. So high engagement there. Navsker Park finished out their summer concert series last month, and so the top post was a live video taken during one of their concerts. The page overall was up 200% in the reach, and this post alone was reached 4,200 people, and it was shared 9 times. Open Streets. We've got the next Open Streets event coming up soon, so of course we're seeing high engagement on this page right now. The top post was just another ad calling out, letting people know that the event is coming up, and that reached 6,500 people and was shared 16 times. And then finally, Golf Wichita. I think Jesse mentioned this last month, but the youth golfer who was a 2-time world champion is from Kansas, so that post just kind of shouted him out, reached 1,800 people, and was interacted with 58 times. So we're very proud of him and his accomplishments. I will stand for any questions you might have.
Questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Angela?
Good afternoon, everybody. All right, for our aquatics, we finally closed off the pools on August the 10th. We have about 20 some days left. We'll close the splash pads September the 28th. Hopefully, like today, it's kind of cold, so I doubt anybody's out there. Our programming. So we have 13 part-time and full-time staff members received a 2-hour comprehensive training session on the functions of BSI RecTrack and WebTrack, which is recreation registration reservation software program that was put on by Barnes McGuire. In addition to the software training, she did a comprehensive procedures manual, which she created that will go for all recreation centers. She also participated in a series of meetings with city art staff to collaborate on adding instructional art classes at each center and streamlining similar offerings from each department. And we'll finish up those this week. We have 3 more centers to go. She also met with staff from Central County Park Department to provide a list of potential programs that could be offered at Central County Park and Lake Athens. This is a part of the new partnership in Wichita Park and Recreation that will be working cooperatively with the county to expand recreation programs and opportunities to the community, which is very exciting. We've been talking about this for like 20 some years, so I'm very excited about it. NASCAR Park. I have to give a big kudos to Kay, who's in the back, who runs NASCAR Park. Kay, raise your hand so they can see who it is. She does amazing, so I wanted to give her some extra kudos on up here. So they just finished 3 Odyssey Summer Concert Series that were held in after. August 1st was Lucky People. We had over 1,000 people in attendance. August 8th, Monterey Jack. We had 550 people in attendance. And August 15th, Roadhouse Saints. We had 550 people in attendance. August 12th and August 26th, we had Story Time in the Park, which is held at 10 a.m. Author Stephanie Brickley read the picture book Lightning Bug Jamboree, and Sasha Hill with Princess and Meet Kids Spa read Fancy Nancy. Recreation staff hosted physical activities including hula hooping, shooting baskets, hokey pokey, and line dances. The police department's mascot, Sergeant Justice and Lieutenant Ward Fire Department held line dancing. Attendance was 127 the first week and 76 the second. Our story time reading in the park has taken off tremendously this last year. I think we're averaging 75 to 100 people for attendance. Even higher. So, yes.
We were averaging at 130 to 150, but school started, you can tell that difference. You had the 150 and then the 76, that's the drop from school. We never were below 150 when school was not in session.
Which is August, where we take in reading and we take in athletics and recreation. So it's been a big hit. And what's really cool is we have a lot of people around the community. We've had the WSU basketball coach. We've had top other people in the city coming. So it's great. It brings a lot of people to NASCAR Park that have not participated in programming there. We also had a nonprofit group, The Altar, who rented the park and had about 25 people. The rental fee was $577 after a 25% non-discount rate. Great job, Kay. Edgemoor Recreation Center. On Tuesday, August 5th, Edgemoor Gym was used as a voting site for Election Day. There were 153 people who stopped by to vote. And the voting hours have changed 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. What's really cool is we have about 5 different recreation centers that are now voting sites. So it literally helps people out, especially at Atwater, which just became a site this last year. People are able to come in and do computer work and get to be able to vote right in their community. Edgemoor also has a new instructor teaching the Alexander technique. She hosted a free demo of the class on Wednesday, August the 27th. There were 16 people who signed up to the event and 15 showed up for the lecture. Prior to this demo, there were 3 people who signed up for the instructor's class. 3 other participants that attended this demonstration signed up for an upcoming class. There's 2 future demos that will be held on September 10th and October 29th prior to the start of the upcoming session. This is another, but pickleball, I'm very excited. We had an interview with a lady who actually taught professionally for pickleball, who's actually willing to come on board and look at keeping at Riverside this upcoming fall, which is awesome. As Reggie mentioned, we lost our pickleball instructor. So on August 3rd, the Riverside Fitness Center finished the summer tournament season with a level 7 USTA tournament. The girls' high school tennis started in August, and the center's fall schedule has officially begun. On August 10th, the Riverside Tennis Center hosted an event for the Corporate Challenge, Wichita's largest business-to-business athletic competition. The tennis center staff participating in the tennis portion got second place. Next year, we're going to get first. Let me just tell you, first place. The events originally were scheduled to be outside, but due to the rain, the event was held in a bubble, which is why it's so nice to have a bubble, a good inside facility to have tennis. Great Plains Nature Center, they had their 25th anniversary last Friday. It was amazing. Me and Reggie attended. There were over 200 guests in attendance. Larry Hatterberg was the keynote speaker. Laura Downey, the executive director of the Kansas Association for Conservation and Environmental Education. It was a wonderful night of honoring the center's history, celebrating impact, and looking forward to the next 25 years. Since 2000, the Great Plains Nature Center has served over 1.1 million students, families, and lifelong learners, more than 40,000 programs. In August, the center had over 2,335 walk-in visitors. Let me just tell you, it was busy that night. People always trying to go to the Great Plains Nature Center to walk, to ride, to skate, even use those little mopeds they're not supposed to. But, August is the time for planning and growing for the Great Plains Nature Center. On August 11th, founding Great Plains Nature Center Director Bob Press spent time with his team sharing about the vision that drove the Nature Center in its early days and encouraged us in the work we do connecting people to nature. On August 18th, another former Great Plains Nature Center team member, Patty Marlette, held a workshop demonstrating how to make a bird study skin. Never a dull moment over there. So our Carl G. Brewer Community Center, we cannot wait for it to open, but due to the weather, as we are in Kansas, the grand opening has been moved back to Saturday, December 6th. Can be kind of limited, but we have Open Streets that is coming up on September the 28th from 12 to 4. We'd love to see everybody out there. Any questions?
Angela? Thank you. Excited for December 6th? All right, we are going to skip Jesse. He got called to a course, so we're going to invite Gary to come on.
He's still planning on coming. He may drop in at some point, or he may not.
If he comes.
If he doesn't, I'll just go ahead and forward you his presentation. And if there are any questions, comments, or concerns, those to him.
Thank you, Alex.
You driving?
Yes. So excited with my notes.
All right, just out of curiosity, I went back a couple of years on the number of inspections that we did. And I know we've been doing a lot of emergency work, a lot of emergency inspections, but 2 years ago in August, just for comparison, we did just over 1,000 inspections for the month. So our inspectors have been busy. Our pruning numbers are up because we're able to focus more on tree pruning versus removals, especially from the storms. We count even repairing storm work, we count that as prevention. So anyway, 4th year is busy. There's still a little bit of high priority work versus emergency work, but high priority work left from the storms this summer. But out of over 2,000 work orders, emergency work orders that were generated from that series of storms, there's around 50 or so still open, and a lot of those have line clearance issues that are waiting for Evergy to partner with us to get done. And our outlook is typically the same. We respond to emergencies as needed. We work on our high priority stuff first, and we focus on dead tree removal to keep the community safe. Construction special projects. Brent's crew is always busy. The photograph there are the soccer goals that we installed there in South Woodland Park. in August. There were 8 or 10 things I really wanted to focus on out of his big list. One of which you see the right in the middle of the screen, you see a trash can. That is at the keeper. That is a refurbished trash can that his crew removed. They had it sitting on flagstone, and over the years, the flagstone grout had let go. It was becoming an issue with it being moved. So they removed the flagstone after they removed the can, refurbished the can, stripped it down, repainted it, also poured a concrete pad, and were able to reattach that. And there's a couple, 2 or 3 of those that get serviced 3 or 4 times a week by the refuse crew. So the functionality was improved, that the looks of it were improved. Overall, it was a great project. Also, repairing some, see the picture, let me place it with the words over here. Just talking about it, at Great Plains.
Chisholm Creek?
Yeah, oh, at Chisholm Creek, yeah. I was trying to look for Great Plains to find Chisholm Creek. Yeah, we repaired the dock there. And then also repaired several benches at Finley Ross. They were in such disrepair that they were becoming a safety hazard. We looked at just removing the wood instead of doing the repair, but the way that the concrete and metal brackets were put there, for lack of a better word, built, we couldn't really do that. So we had to do the repair. But we got that done, and the guys did that in less than a day, I think, that they spent on it. But it made a huge difference in Finley Ross and in the downtown area. We've obviously been responding to graffiti and all the attempts at theft of plaques and graffiti and damage on benches, and we've installed several memorial benches. And at GPNC, we got the new sign put up before the 25th anniversary, so that was good. The whirl at Cypress Park, it's actually a big deal to the community. When we took that out to repair it, or to see if we could repair it, the number of calls that came in was pretty intense. That is a very well-loved piece of equipment, and we were able to get the barriers replaced on it. So we got that back in working condition. A lot of damaged equipment in the various playgrounds that we replaced, repaired, and then, of course, we've done a lot of safety inspections on our playgrounds, 305 of those. Mentioned earlier, Tim mentioned the new basketball courts at East Cessna and Murdoch and Kiwanis, and our staff was able to inspect some of the installation of the basketball goals, found a few deficiencies, and were able to get those corrected by the contractor. So really happy with our inspections and our staff keeping our contractors, keeping them in line. And so that the actual product that they're giving is lasting. Brett's crew is involved in closing the pools, taking down the fabric shade shelters, the diving boards and the cargo netting, that kind of thing. In the pictures on the right, one of the things that you see, and I'll show another picture of this later, but the front end loader that's grabbing onto what used to be an RV was an itinerant camp at Stearman Park. There's some other interesting pictures of that. I'll get into that later, but there's another. Oh yeah, the signs at the dog park at Platt, the back end only signs. I don't know who requested this. I can't remember who requested this, but apparently the one-way signs weren't enough. The way that the lines were not intuitive enough. We had to put in signage for backing in only, but Brett got that done.
That was the calcium number.
Yeah, it's that's why we do it. You know, it's requested, so we do it. No big deal. But he got that done, so hopefully people understand that we back in on that one. Crazy. All right,
On social media posts.
don't let me do it.
We got a few emails about it too.
Katie and Shannon can work on that. Don't let me near social media. All right. Looking into September. Yeah, the number of things we've got to do is extensive. Graffiti is always coming in. Hopefully, we can get the new slab for the picnic table at Glen Village done. That's been on our to-do list. It's moving up on the list. Hopefully, we can get that done, get it off the list. And one of the things that we were anticipating, and it has actually happened now that it is September, is getting the turf put out on the bridges at Clap Park and across the sidewalks so the cross-country meet can happen. Ran into several issues with that project, but Brett and his team were very flexible and worked with WSU very closely to get all those issues worked through, and they had a successful meet. So I'm pretty happy with that. Our park maintenance group, the bed you're looking at there is on the north side of the keeper. And that, well, the install was done internally. That's the bed that was created. What project actually created the space, but getting the bed planted was done in-house. I'm pretty sure for lack of budget to have a contractor do it, but they really did a good job. They kept it going through drought and focused on more drought-resistant materials, and it has really done well. Really happy with that. It represents the area quite well. We continue to work with the mantis and the forestry mower to eat eastern red cedars in Chisholm Creek Park when we can. We are planning next year to expose the meadow that has been created in that park. And it used to be all just a big block of eastern red cedar. So that is a really exciting thing to look forward to. We're about 1 to 2 tree thicknesses from getting that done. And I think I've mentioned this before, but the native grasses and native flowers, wildflowers, are just there. The seeds are there in the soil. They're coming up naturally. We haven't spent any money on reseeding it. So we really anticipate that being a kind of a big reveal. We already mentioned it before. We're continuing to work on the rebid for the contracted maintenance and getting that aligned with the responsibilities that we are obligated to by city code. Retained maintenance, they continue to catch up on the work that weather has put us behind on, whether that's mowing or sidewalk maintenance, sweeping the sidewalks there along the river. That is normally we try to get to that 2 or 3 times a year. This year has just been a nightmare trying to get to that. We've done that I think once. Hopefully we'll get to it again later this fall. Irrigation crew, they've had a lot of trouble with the irrigation systems at South Lakes. Apparently it's a fairly complicated couple of systems. Athletic crews, they're working on getting all of the fields ready for league play this fall. And not just weed crew, they spray when they can and help out in other locations when they can't. This is the picture that I want to talk to you about, the RV that are at the center of the screen. That was Experiment Park. Wound up being classified as a seizure by WPD. And so we had to get all of that off-site in one event. PD couldn't leave until it was all cleaned up because of how it was categorized. That's a 3-axle fifth wheel. The frame on that thing is heavier than anything we have to pick it up. We don't have anything that can crunch it. We basically had to strip everything off the frame, and PD said, yeah, that's fine, you can leave it. Because it was Friday, we were working on it. PD said, yeah, you can leave the frame, get that later. We got back there Monday and it was gone. So somebody took the metal and I'm sure recycled it, yeah. Anyway, other pictures are of the cleanup that we did there under Johnny Mac Bridge. That's pretty typical of what we find under there. It's a revolving door. It is just an example of the extent of the problem. So our data tracks that illegal dumping is increasing, if you could believe that. I believe that tomorrow council is going to be talking about some amendment to illegal dumping ordinance, maybe some severe fines, that kind of thing. We'll see what they come up with tomorrow. Hopefully that helps curb the volume that we see with illegal dumping, because it's certainly a problem.
It was in the paper this morning too.
Say again?
It was in the paper this morning.
Was it? Okay. We'll be talking about that tomorrow. Any questions?
The pagoda, what happened with it? There's something in paper about it.
So, yeah, Warren McCoskey is the supervisor for maintenance. He was called out, was it Labor Day weekend? He responded to police dispatch, police officers on site with the perpetrator in custody. It's my understanding that the officer was driving by and saw what was happening. And basically what happened was the perpetrator and the building got in an argument. And the perpetrator decided to tear everything up and ripped doors off, broke chairs that were inside, started throwing stuff out of the building, broke the double hung window panes that had been up there for how many generations. And it was, I don't know why he was angry at the building, but man, he was really mad. But we have given a verbal estimate of repairs, working on getting actual vendors out to look at it and give solid estimates on what's going to cost to repair. So hopefully we can prosecute.
On top of what they were trying to do already. So it's just,
Yeah.
And the individual that was there is currently in custody. And we're also working with the police department that we're going to actually criminal trespass them from that area so that they aren't allowed to go back in that space again. And if they are there, they can immediately be arrested.
Any other questions?
Hail damage from, I had huge hail to my trees and everything up north, but I mean, just last week, was it Wednesday or something?
I'm positive that we had some issues with tree limbs down and things like that, but in terms of structures that were damaged, I don't have any report of any hail damaged structures. I know I have to get a new roof, but that's
Yeah,
nothing to do with
the roof is like, it's coming in and say,
anything else. Thanks.
Suggest me.
Yes, you ready, sir?
Mike,
Oh, you're good. Good, man.
little situation, but we're good.
Found all my lost golf balls.
Do what?
I said you found all the lost golf balls.
Okay, so I'll dive into the numbers here going through August. Excuse me. Year to date, we are pretty even with last year. Sorry. We caught up. We had a little bit more rain. Obviously, we didn't have rain last year, so it's pretty okay with that. 130,000 rounds so far this year through the end of August. Looking at the month alone, we're good. 22,000 rounds, pretty much on par. I think. Pretty much on par with where we expect to be. Carp rentals, we were up fairly significantly now. We're up $125,000 versus last year, which is obviously a really good thing. Yeah, we were down a little bit last year compared to 23 and up this year. That was mainly due to tax being closed last year. So happy with everything. With the really everything with the numbers on the financial side have been really strong. Food and beverage, we're up whatever that is, $50,000, $53,000 from last year. So we're closing in on $600,000 for the year. Driving range comparison, we're up. Even with all the rain that we've had the driving ranges closed a lot because they're flooded, especially Auburn. When it rains, it's right in the floodplain. So even with those closures, we're still up quite a bit. Really happy with the driving ranges and their performance so far. Merchandise sales are down just a touch, and that's mainly just at Auburn Hills, and that's because we had the fire sale to get rid of the merchandise last year. Everybody else is up pretty considerably. And Michael, even in his first year owning that shop, he really didn't start stocking it until March, and he's at right at 110,000 in merchandise sales there at Auburn. So happy with that. Total revenue in the month of August, we were 865,000 or 64,000. Year to date, we're just over 5 million. And then that puts us just over 400,000 up for the year versus last year. A number that's not reflected in this, we just found out last year we had of course, the cyber attack and that whole situation. We submitted a claim with the help of Brandon and Nikki and of what we thought the lost revenue was going to be, and we just this past week found out that we received $93,000 back for the lost revenue from that deal. So wasn't sure if that was going to go anywhere or not, but almost $100,000 out of it. So nice little unexpected surprise there. Looking at the project funds, not much has changed really. We've got a lot of stuff in the pipeline, but we're kind of waiting for winter time to get a lot of the big projects done. So over $2 million in the project funds. I won't go through each one, but car equipment, clubhouse, grounds fund, and then our kind of general was closing in on $1 million. And the general fund, it's through August, I want to say it was like 1.7 million. So, at the end of the year, everything over $1 million will go into this. So looking really healthy here. Before I get into this, any questions on any of the numbers or the finances? Okay, and like I said, we still have a lot of golf left. We're doing aerification this month. We just did Sim last week. We'll do Auburn tomorrow, the next 2 days, unless it keeps raining. And then we've got Tex and then Mac. So we'll get through that. We still have a lot of tournaments left to end the year, a lot of events. So once we get kind of middle of October, we're going to start working on a lot of these projects. The overseeding at Mac, we actually started last week. We've done all the tee boxes in about half the fairways. Last year, we did a big overseed. It worked really great up until it got two things happened. One, it flooded several times, which that low area is that ryegrass kind of gets choked out. And then the extreme heat winds are going to thin it out. So it did have a little bit of an impact, but we're overseeding, and this weather is absolutely perfect for that. So we'll put the seed on the tee boxes, and within 5 or 6 days, you can see where it's starting to take already. So a couple of weeks, that course is going to look great. We got new siding and doors at Auburn Hills. That clubhouse is 25 years old, so there's a lot of things that are starting to happen. We're trying to stay ahead of that. The irrigation had a pre-bid meeting this morning with all of the interested contractors, and went really well. That closes on the 26th, so hopefully we'll have a contractor in place by the end of October and ready to start work hopefully November, December at the latest. We're doing a huge bunker renovation at Mac also that will kind of go along with that irrigation. That's going to be a huge project. It's going to make a big difference. Right now we have 69 bunkers. We're getting rid of about 35 of those bunkers. Now, in that, there's a lot of places where there's two bunkers side by side. We're combining them into one and moving a little closer to the greens. It'll speed up play, make it a little bit more friendly for the golfers. I think it would have a big positive impact in many ways. Hitting math at Tech, we're ready to go on that. Again, we just kind of want to get through the tournament season before we have a big project going and all that. So, a lot like what we just did at Auburn, which worked out great. Same idea there. And then for me, this is big. A new point of sale operating system that RFP will go out next week. There's a lot of issues, clunkiness with our system. The reporting is a little bit difficult. We have issues a lot. So hoping to get something that is cloud-based and just easier from the customer standpoint and certainly from staff standpoint. So I'm very excited about getting that. It's going to be it's a lot of information to transfer from one system to another, but we'll get it done over the winter. That's all I had. I'll answer any questions.
Questions, Jesse? Thank you.
Good. All right. Thank you, Ron.
Okay, Brandon, you're up, sir. Do I need to stand up now here? Oh, good. Dan, if you want to, though.
No, that's okay. By the way, I just want to comment how wonderfully you all work together. That's so much fun for me to share with all of our citizens, the amount of hard work that you do and how you figure out what the problems are and the solutions very quickly. So that's fun just from an ordinary Wichita citizen to be able to share what happens inside these walls. Because guess what? They're not all going back and watching the entire Board of Governors meeting. So anyway, thank you for that. From the foundation standpoint, I'm really still trying to get the understanding of the park foundation and bring them over a little bit more to supporting. Reggie asked for $100,000 for the strategic plan, and I think they passed
51,250.
Okay, so not quite not quite what we asked for. And then also they did make a pledge to the candy crawl of $1,000. So I am going to meet with Brian Fry and Brent just specifically on those two issues and say, what can we do from the park board side in order to encourage more interaction? Because it seems like the interaction really is, and Reggie, I'm sure you chat with them much more than, again, the rest of us can see. But I think the Park Foundation, they've got some really big initiatives, and I think a lot of times we ought to have them in here to maybe have a joint session and talk about things. And I don't know if is that legal?
I will have to check and see if we can actually do this, since they are a funding source that actually provides some of the things that we have. We may have to keep them separate. But
right, I can see that being a challenge, but you know what? Maybe we find another place to do that. So anyway, I did have a conversation, and Aleo, I don't know if you talked with Sarah Gooding as well from the Wichita State Public Policy and Management. They were just curious as to what's going on at the ARC board and strategic plan. And my message, and a lot of it's because I'm new to what goes on here and still learning, but I actually think this is an important message for all of us, because I think it's going to cut down on the one thing that causes our ability to progress, and that's the vandalism. We just talked about this unhinged individual that did something, and guess what? Those things happen. However, I think the consequences need to be high. So I appreciate what Reggie said on making sure that that person can't return to that area. But the consequences, I think, stiff penalties for the amount of just terrible setbacks that are caused by just knuckleheads, people doing really stupid, foolish things, and they don't often think about it. So if we can have the message to all of our citizens that just don't know, right? Ignorance is not bliss in a lot of these situations. We need to share with people the reason why a project that you see maybe isn't moving on the way you want it to is the amount of hundreds of thousands of dollars that have to go for future planning back to fixing things that knuckleheads did. And so I think a combination of all of us sharing that message, and you all do that already. So I'm not really speaking directly to you, but those of us that can cast that wider net from our groups of people that we know that are in leadership in other areas of Wichita, but also within our personal groups of friendships, tell them here's why a project may not be moving forward that you think should be moving forward as fast, because the dollars that have to go to fix things that were really meant to move things forward. But that being said, we get to sit in here and see the incredible things that you guys continue to do. And I mean, Jesse, what a great summer on the golf course, right? And I hear that from a lot of people that play. They love going out, and that's all a positive thing. So a net win-win. If you have anything that you'd like me to take directly to the Park Foundation, please let me know, because otherwise I'll just drill on what I think is important, and that's probably not as good as all of us communicating that message. So thank you. I take that job very seriously to communicate with the foundation, and I'd like to see some more communication. We all get very busy, of course, when we leave our respective meetings and run on to do things, but if we can keep those messages moving forward outside of the meeting themselves, I think we're going to have a net gain. And again, just sharing that message of why we can't spend money on future projects, I think that will help people say, well, maybe I ought to chat with those that maybe I don't know directly who would make those poor decisions, but at least share that, you know how destructive that is to our community. And again, we've all been, well, maybe not all, but we've all been silly young kids. But I don't know if that's the bulk of who's doing all of this. But just share that message that we're better here in Wichita. We don't need to do that. And it really negatively affects our community. It's such a strong way. So we could cut that out. I really think we can, just through a little bit of communication. So anyway.
Shouldn't you think about the firefighters Memorial Park? I know they got the thing on there now, on the click link, that you could give specifically that thanks. I don't know if they mentioned anything about it or not.
It's actually up and active now as well with the Park Foundation. So what we're referring to is that we're doing fundraising efforts for Lincoln Park to convert that to the firefighter memorial. And there's going to be a big announcement of that coming up in October with the governor coming down as well, talking about that initiative. And the Park Foundation is the one that's collecting those dollars for that.
Because the museum's all over. Every day they're posting something.
Did they pick a date in October for her?
It's October the 5th is when she is going to be here for it, and another event on the 4th prior to that, before she gets here for the official kickoff for the actual announcement of it and what we're moving forward with it being its new location.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big deal, and it should be here in Wichita. We should have more of all of the Kansas stuff local right here in Wichita. So that's a huge thing. The Kansas Firefighter Museum, I know that's going to be a huge deal for lots of young kids. My son will certainly enjoy that, but as much so as we have the aerospace around here, the Kansas Firefighters, that's going to bring people to Wichita, USA. So that's a huge win. Congratulations.
Oh, appreciate you, Ben.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. I don't have an update, but Reggie, I know you've got some updates for us.
Sure. Just want to give an update on several things as well. And I thank Brandon for being on the park board, foundation board as well, having someone there that's going to share the message for us also. And he mentioned earlier, we're in the process now that Katie has been the lead for our park master plan, and we narrowed it down from initially 10 applicants to selecting someone that's going to go to council for approval. We had in our budget $250,000 towards that, and we requested $100,000 from the foundation so that we have some opportunity for some contingency in case there's some other things we wanted to include in that process. And they approved $51,250, which was the difference of what the actual contract total is. So we're moving forward with that. We're excited about it. The next phase is once we get through council, is going to be working with getting together a steering committee that will be involved in that process with a representative from the Park Foundation as well as the Park Board that's going to be on that to kind of guide what we're going to do for the next 10 to 15 years with the park system. And part of it is looking at all our amenities, how we're investing our dollars, and what we need to do to make sure that we're able to not only maintain what we have, but plan for future growth. And we're going to have a component of that with golf as well, with looking at how our system is set up and how we handle our memberships and things of that nature. And I know that was a concern as well, so that we can benchmark against other communities to see what that looks like. One of the things I spotlighted at the last meeting was what Brandon mentioned earlier was how much we spend on repairing vandalism and things that we do in our park system. And Gary and his team has put an outward faced dashboard that the community can go to and look at all of those things that we spend by each location, each district, the number of man hours we put into that, as well as what it cost us. And we don't have new money that's available to do that. We're pulling from other dollars that we would be working with maintaining, existing, or expanding to new projects that we have, so it impacts that. So we also, through Gary and his team, do the illegal dumping that we talked about. We also do the homeless camping cleanups, graffiti, as well as the refuge crew for picking up all of our trash to the downtown area and throughout our park system as well, what that's not contracted out. So a lot of people don't realize that's part of what we manage on a day-to-day basis as well with the existing resources that we have. So one of the things I went through last council meeting as well, Gary had talked about the number of volume that we had with storm damage. And we had 4 of our playgrounds that were inoperable or not being able to use by the community. And we were able to use some savings that we had in other areas to be able to move $200,000 over to get those playgrounds back up and going. So we're working with a contractor on that. Angela mentioned earlier about we're excited about some of the city and county collaborations that we're doing. We're meeting with them on an ongoing basis, looking at how we can activate Central County Park as well as Lake Afton. And we've gotten a great list of potential programming ideas that we're going to implement. And also meeting to see how we can get them on board with our rec track and web track, so the community just goes to one location to be able to access all the services as well as to the county or the city. And we've already co-locating the rental information for the city and the county on each of our websites. So you'll be surprised how many of our team on the city gets called about Central County Park, thinking it's a city asset. So we're trying to make it easier for the community to be able to get access to that as well. Another big thing that I'm really excited about is I'm sure you've seen in the news that the city council just approved for downtown Wichita with the cleanup crew that they're doing there with the clean team. And Gary and I are meeting with Heather quarterly to look at how we can leverage each other's resources to be able to make sure that we keep the downtown corridor in really good shape, being able to clean that area for when we have events and things that we have, like at Napster and other places that really be activated, that we can present the city well. So we're going to look at some options on how we actually do our trash refuge and looking at other options on the containers that we put downtown and the Park Foundation even expressed some interest in how they can help support that initiative as well, where we can increase the capacity there with doing what we're doing. Also finished up the demo at Pontyberry Park, that Tim mentioned earlier. And kind of the last thing that we're looking at moving forward with is we're excited about the Brewer Community Center on December the 6th. So our team there, Angela and Elise, who's our center director there, has been working really closely with the community on making sure that we're getting everyone engaged on how we can make it a true community asset. So we've been working with WSU, we've been working with Wichita State, WSU Tech, the school district, as well as several nonprofits to be able to say, how can we best utilize this space to make it a true asset for the community to come in and use it. And we think that we have a really good plan moving forward on how we're going to utilize that space to have the community engaged and be not only just for us locally, but it could be an economic impact for people coming from outside of the area to use the space as well. So our team is doing a really great job with being able to manage the assets that we have with the resources that are available. So a lot of people don't see a lot of things that take place behind the scene that we have to be really creative to be able to manage and present it well to the community. And sometimes we don't have the available resources that we need to make it happen, but we are flexible and team work hard to make sure that we do what needs to be required to move forward.
Reggie, for the park master plan, you mentioned the creation of a steering committee. Do you know how many people you want on there from the Board of Park Commissioners?
Kenny, speak a
Okay.
little bit about that. So typically, what we're wanting to do is another year involved with the selection process, and we were looking forward on it. So ideally, our committee is going to be between 10 to 15 people that we're going to have. We'll have a representative, probably 2 from the city council. We'll have someone from the county, the school district, similar to that we did on the selection committee. We have staff representation as well, and then the park and foundation and the park board. So 1 to 2 people is what we're looking at to round out that committee. And one of the big things that we want to make sure that we do in that process as well is that we have really good community engagement. So part of that process is that they're going to have to get out into each of the district, getting out to our district advisory board, putting out a website where people can actually see how we're progressing. And then once we get everything finalized, we're going to have a big kickoff to tell the community exactly what we're doing and be able to tell them what the process are that we're going to go through getting this done. And then 12 to 14 months out, we want to have a really good product that we not only just have that's going to sit, that's something that's actionable that we can work with within our budget that we have to not just get something that's going to sit on the shelf.
And when do you anticipate we'll start, or and maybe Katie, to your question, when do you anticipate we'll be able to start this?
Start in October. So next Tuesday is when the contract should get approved by city council. And so just as a project management team, we're going to meet with RDG to kind of just kick things off. But I would imagine that the steering committee will start as soon as October.
Is there an opportunity to leverage like open streets? You know what I mean? I mean, I think we get like 50,000 Wichitans in one place.
That would be nice, and we'll discuss it with them. But since that is a really quick turnaround, it kind of depends on if their lead for public engagement will be able to put something together fast enough.
Okay.
But I agree, that would be great because otherwise the next open streets won't be until after the main.
Right.
And that's part of what we're asking them to do as well as they get ready to move to get information out, not only have meetings that are separate, but going out to some of those events that are already in the community where we know people are going to be gathering to get feedback as well. So we have a great team. I think that we are doing a lot with the resources that we have available. And when you look at some of the things that we have to do behind the scene that a lot of the community may not know, the team that's sitting back there is really involved in making sure we get a lot of those things taken care of, a lot of time with limited resources.
Yeah, thank you guys, Reggie and staff. You guys do amazing work. Well, you got anything else for us?
That's everything on our end.
Go ahead.
I did check my numbers because you were right. The cost recovery for tennis center did seem awfully low. I just hit the wrong button. It's not 59%, it's 89%.
Oh, there you go. Incredible, big man.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Appreciate that.
Make sure you hit the button in the wrong direction.
All right, well, with that, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Get home safely. This is turned out.
I need to buy my ticket. I was ready for them to